Hello everyone, Cowbunger here. It's been a while since I've made a proper edited video. I like doing them, but they take a lot of effort and time. I don't mind the effort it takes, but I'm always low on time anymore. Full-time jobs stink. That's why, if you're not subscribed, you should be, and leave a like so that this video reaches as many eyes as possible. If you do, maybe one day I can take this little hobby of mine I've been doing for years a little more seriously more often.
Like that's ever gonna happen.
If you want a visual reason as to why I won't, well, here you go. Still, any help on these videos is nice regardless. I've got a cool topic to cover today. I think many other people have been giving their opinions about this, and now feels like the best time for me to throw my hat into the ring. Today I want to talk about my top 10 things I want to see in the next Smash game. I really started to think about this after I asked the Crusade dev team this exact question during a Q&A they did on Twitter. I didn't really want to ask them about characters because I figured they weren't going to answer that and everybody else was just going to do that anyway. They gave an ambiguous answer, which is understandable. They have a team of people that all have their wants and desires. That just goes to show though that there's a lot of different directions they could take a new Smash Brothers. They could do one that focuses on casuals by adding even more characters, single player offerings, items, and stages like we usually expect. They could also take an approach where they have less characters but there's brand new mechanics, new reworks for veteran fighters, rollback netcode with an actual intentional focus on competitive play.
Hello everybody, my name is Markiplier and welcome back to the Try Not to Laugh Challenge.
Rollback netcode with an actual intentional focus on competitive play. I think what makes Smash stand above the rest is that it has great casual and competitive offerings. Many fighting games, specifically smaller platform fighters, seem to neglect the casual base, and because of that struggle to keep interest in their games in the long term. And yeah, every now and then there's a casual platform fighter that does provide at least the bare minimum single player content Smash does provide, but it doesn't feel or look as good as Smash, so it struggles anyway. I highlight this stuff to show my understanding that a new Smash game cannot lean in either direction, but it should introduce new elements in both departments. Smash Ultimate primarily focused on having the biggest roster, which is completely fair. The roster is what everybody seems to care about the most. We've been there and done that, and with no real way to get a bigger roster without just adding on to Ultimate, I think the new game should just focus on other things besides the roster. If anything, we're probably going to have to deal with the most character cuts in Smash history next game, which, man, I am not ready for how annoying some of you will be when that time comes. The roster for the next game will be what it will be, and I'm not going to touch on it anymore for this video. I've got other videos covering who should make the cut anyway if you're interested. Let's get into the list properly. Number 1, I'm going to get my most controversial opinion out of the way first. That way you guys can make your comments and get it out of your system and maybe try to enjoy the rest of the video from there. I'm going to try to explain this as concisely as I can, so if I happen to miss something in my argument here again, just leave a comment and have a normal and nice discussion about it. I would personally like Sakurai to not be leading the next Smash game. It doesn't mean he can't work on it in some way, shape, or form, but I think it really is about time for a new director to take the reins. I feel that Smash does need a reboot of sorts. It needs to focus on feeling fresh and different first and foremost. Smash Ultimate will be Sakurai's magnum opus, and there's no need to try and top it. Instead, I'd like to see Sakurai work on other games from other series, maybe even a new IP, and again, either have a smaller role in development for a new Smash game, or dare I say, no involvement at all. I don't think the latter is realistic though, as long as Sakurai is breathing. And yeah, even I have to say that Sakurai needs to be involved in Smash until something happens that shows that the series can move forward without him. But while Sakurai is still around, I think Nintendo should take the opportunity to try to get a person or team that can handle many of the decision-making processes Sakurai has had in all these Smash games. Bandai Namco has been developing the most recent Smash games, so maybe a person or group who has experience developing the past, technically 3 games, can make decisions around the roster, the visuals, the gameplay mechanics, just about every single aspect of the game. I want someone who has their own passionate perspective on what Smash Bros. Should be. I want someone that recognizes what Smash does right and expands upon it and adds in new elements that make the game feel more than just another Smash game. I will get into some specific changes I'd personally like to see later. One thing I want to address before I move on though is the idea of wanting a change this big. What specifically do I have against the idea of Sakurai being the director of Smash again? I really like Sakurai, just to preface. He has made two of my favorite franchises in video game history, but I kinda do feel like he holds Smash Bros. Back in some ways. It's hard to imagine Smash being made without him, but Sakurai is very particular about certain things in Smash that we need to move on from. Just as one example, I personally don't like the way some characters are represented in the game. Even just going with Mario. He's always just so angry in Smash all the time, and I can't recall a time in a Mario game where he is as consistently angry looking as he is in Smash. Like, I don't know, maybe Striker's Charged? That's really about it. It's just a lot of little things that have added up that have made the presentation of Smash over the years feel repetitive and outdated in some cases. This extends out to the gameplay of Smash as well. If there's one thing that platform fighters outside of Smash have taught me, it is that there's so many cool mechanics you could introduce into Smash. We haven't really gotten any major universal mechanic changes in Smash since Melee. We've had tweaks to air dodges, maybe some new moves and mechanics exclusive to particular characters, and that's really about it. I understand there's no need to fix what's not broken or anything. I'm not trying to remove any mechanics, but I just want more added on to it as much as we possibly can, of course, because I know that Smash is already a bit of a complex game to some people. I think a new director could add a new perspective to the series that I think it desperately needs. Well, okay, desperately is a strong word. Smash the way it is now is still wonderful, but the series has gone on for so long without feeling like it's evolving. Instead, it's just felt like it's gotten bigger and bigger and bigger, and again, now we're just at the point where it can't get much better, and that's not a good thing. There's been a gimmick to each game, but I want more than just a game mode or a huge roster to differentiate each game. Because what has happened is that each game feels like there's only one actual good reason to keep coming back to them. Yes, even Smash 64 has boarded the platforms, for example. I know that change is not always a good thing, but we got the best Smash game we'll ever get with Ultimate. So at this point, I don't need something that tries to be the best Smash game. I want something that tries to take Smash in fun and exciting new directions. Something that manages to be just as memorable as Ultimate in a different and hopefully positive way. Now, how exactly can that be achieved? I will give some of my suggestions. We talked about how the roster is likely getting heavily cut. That's gonna suck pretty bad. How exactly should we try to put a band-aid on a third-degree burn? I've seen a certain indie platform fighter combat the fact that it will not be able to have a big roster by introducing assists. These assists add on to the amount of crossovers they can do with other indie games, which I think is cool. If assists weren't there, then sure, you'd be able to develop another character or two, but you'd miss out on representing a bunch of games. And that's pretty lame to do when you advertise yourself as the biggest indie game crossover. Smash similarly markets itself as the biggest celebration of video games, so I feel like if they can't carry over the massive roster of Smash Ultimate, this is going to be the best solution to keep that idea alive in some way. I'm thinking that a 40 character roster is a realistic expectation for the next Smash game. Then they could add 40, 50, maybe even 60 unique assists to the game as well. Then like frame makers, you could maybe make playable characters assists as well, so that would add a total of 80 to 100 assists. That sounds like a ton to sift through though. I personally wouldn't go that direction. I think the assist roster being separate from the playable roster is the way to go. The assists can consist of some cut veterans, some characters who were assist trophies, and of course you can add some characters that have not been playable or assist trophies before. And yeah, I would say remove assist trophies from the game if you're gonna do proper assists. I always felt like assist trophies were too similar to Pokeballs in functionality and concept anyway. The assists should work the way they do in frame makers. They just come in and do one action. It could be an attack, maybe they apply a status effect, maybe they could even give you a free item. There's a lot of different possibilities there, and I think this mechanic can be enjoyed by the casual and competitive audiences alike. Now, how exactly would you perform an assist? Will it be mapped to a new button? The answer is kinda. It will be attached to another mechanic that I think needs to become a standard in Smash, and that is number 3, a meter. Again, I think Nickelodeon All-Star Brawl 2 has made me realize that meters need to become a standard in platform fighters alongside assists. I think both mechanics bring so many possibilities to gameplay that add on to the strategy and chaos that platform fighters strive on. In my eyes, non-Smash platform fighting games have been innovators these past couple years, and Smash needs to catch up on the gameplay mechanics they have introduced. Now, what would I want the meter to do? There's been a couple of platform fighters that use meters, but I think one for Smash should be pretty simple. All meter actions would be done with a meter button plus whatever button you want to press to enhance your attacks or other options. At 25 meter, I think you should be able to do EX specials and EX smash attacks. EX specials were explored in Nick 2, not so much EX smash attacks. You can do them in Nick 2, but you basically just get a semi-charged smash attack instantly. I think with a Smash budget, you could give EX smash attacks slightly different properties from normal smash attacks. Nothing crazy. Again, we can use Mario as an example. His EX forward smash can become a multi-hit attack with a slightly bigger hitbox. EX down smash can just be Mario doing the breakdance twice, and EX up smash can make the invulnerability on his head even bigger. And of course, all EX smash attacks would be stronger than an uncharged normal smash attack. At 50% meter, you can summon and assist. I'm guessing you would maybe perform it by doing the meter button plus a grab maybe, because I don't think we'd enhance grabs in any way. And by the way, I think something that a lot of these platform fighters that have experimented with meters don't do, that I think Smash should do if they implement a meter, is to show on the UI what you can actually do with your meter. So like once you get to 50%, it will show meter button plus whatever. In that way, players experiment to see what these things do for the first time. Anyway, if you have 100% meter, you can't do 2 assists at the same time. There should be a small cooldown on it, but I still think it should be possible. I don't think there should be anything special at 75% meter. I know some games have a burst in them, and usually it works in those games because you can get put in a combo blender, but that usually doesn't happen in Smash, so I will choose to omit it. It'd be nice if there was an extra defensive option by using meter though. Maybe you can hold the shield and meter buttons to stop your shield from shrinking, and it drains meter as you do. At 100% meter, you should be able to do your final smash. So basically, I'm taking the final smash meter and adding on to it. I think every final smash should be a cinematic super, and they should all be tournament viable. I feel like Smash at a high level really is missing just a little bit of that cinematicness that I think a lot of other fighters have, because final smashes are not legal in tournaments, so I would love to see it actually happen. This meter system would be fun for casuals, and it would bring new life to competitive play. Realistically, I don't know what else you would really need anyway, honestly. I feel like just the 2 things I've talked about covers a lot of ground. It would make the next Smash game feel very different from every other game in the series. We do only have so many buttons to work with on a GameCube controller after all. You know when the next Smash game comes out that they're going to be reselling those things for like $100 or something. God forbid. Never mind. That's some like bad mojo right there. Like I just put out some very bad stuff into the world. I feel like that's going to happen at some point now. Aw, I jinxed it. Let's talk about some other stuff I want in the game, alright? Number 4, Adventure Mode. Let's get into the single player offerings. Along with the usual classic mode and the return of a proper all-star mode, I want an adventure mode in this game. But I don't necessarily want a brawl adventure mode or a melee adventure mode. I kinda want a combination of the two. Let me explain. My version of adventure mode would start at the Mushroom Kingdom, where you would do a platforming challenge with a battle at the middle and end, like in Melee. Then when you complete the level, you'll be taken to a level select screen. From there you can choose from a Legend of Zelda level, a Pokemon level, and a Kirby level. You can choose one of the 3 to tackle, and every level will have its own fun challenges to complete. Once you complete one of these levels, you'll unlock more to play. Along with that, you can go back and play other levels you haven't completed whenever you'd like. So your progression throughout this mode is less about going forward in a linear structure It's more like event mode where you can tackle whichever event you want in any order, but you gotta do a certain amount of them to unlock more. It'd be cool if there's like little collectibles in this mode, or maybe achievements, bosses to fight, just fun stuff like that. I would want these levels to last about 5 minutes each overall, so they feel lengthy enough but not overstay their welcome. Plus, I'd like to encourage speedrunning with online leaderboards tracking the times you complete each level. That will encourage a different kind of competition between players that usually isn't explored in Smash. I think this is perfect for letting you explore many of Nintendo's franchises throughout this mode, and it's just an obvious way to advertise all these different franchises to people who may be new to them or never tried them. I think this is the natural next step for what a smaller scale adventure mode could be. I mentioned event mode, and I think it should be retired just because this mode will be pretty similar to it. Speaking of, we're retiring spirits too. My version of adventure mode will probably have some battles with modifiers like spirits do, so I don't think they're needed. Plus, I feel like that type of thing should be exclusive to Ultimate, just so it gives its single player an identity. This next thing I talk about will be what I hope will make the next Smash game memorable, at least my version of it. Number 5, Smash Royale. Now, there's a couple of ways you could handle a Battle Royale mode in Smash Brothers. How I would do it is basically a modified version of Smash Run, because Smash Run was great, but it didn't quite reach its full potential. I would drop 16 different players down into one big map, and yes, I think the Switch 2 could handle something like that. If they're confident that Kirby Air Riders can do 16 players at once, then I'm pretty sure Smash could do it too. With that being said, if someone is constantly experiencing internet issues, they could play an offline version of the mode. Otherwise, if they try and it's just too bad, they should get kicked out. Unlike Smash Run, players could interact with each other to try and KO each other to take the power-ups they've gathered. But if you get KO'd, it's game over for you. There's no minigame or match at the end. You will simply try to survive against your fellow players and an array of AI enemies that get progressively harder to deal with as time goes on. And if that's somehow not enough to end the game, maybe we could implement the Circle of Death from other Battle Royales that will force players to eventually meet each other and fight to the death. I personally like the Mario 35 approach, where you just have so many enemies attacking you at once that there's no way you wouldn't eventually die. But in an online environment in a fighting game, the Circle of Death is probably more viable. I'm not usually a fan of Battle Royale stuff, and it's definitely overdone nowadays, but whenever there's a Battle Royale mode exclusive to the Switch, it's just one of the most fun things ever. Tetris 99, Mario 35, Pac-Man 99, F-Zero 99, Mario Kart World Knockout Tour, Star Fox 9... Oh, whoops. That one hasn't been revealed yet. Wait, Nintendo Ninjas, I'm sorry! Number 6. For the last single player offering I want Master and Crazy Orders back, or something that gives you a similar experience. Maybe just lean on adding some roguelike elements to Crazy Orders. You know, power-ups, health packs, and increasing difficulty. I think bringing in some modifiers from spirits could be fun too. But yeah, this was just a fun way to play some classic mode-esque battles without going into classic mode. But if classic mode is the way it was in Ultimate, which I'm not opposed to, then that randomness could only be accessed through a mode like this. And hey, if I'm taking something from Smash 3DS, I might as well take something from Smash Wii U too. Number 7. Alright, well, I mentioned it earlier, so let's put it out there. I want rollback netcode for 1v1 online battles. Sorry Sakurai, there wasn't an excuse to not do this with Ultimate. You had one, and it wasn't a good one. Basically, Smash Ultimate was obviously built upon Smash 4, and how netcode worked in that game was pretty set in stone. It would be very hard to rebuild it and implement rollback into free-for-alls. We also had the whole custom rule thing when fighting online in Ultimate instead of just doing for fun and for glory again. I don't know why. I'm guessing that not having a mode dedicated to 1v1 action didn't help in finding a way to implement rollback. Look man, nobody asked for this custom rule crap. Like, I'm just gonna be honest here. What ends up happening is that every now and then you'll just get some dweeb with a 3-minute time rule set that is trying to get some cheap GSP. It doesn't happen often enough to be a big problem, but it's annoying regardless. Bring back for fun and for glory, and give for glory rollback netcode. Like, I feel like I'm basically asking for the bare minimum here. Number 8, I want an advanced stage builder. We have a mouse now. Let people make the craziest stages ever. Let them use any colors they want, add a whole bunch of possible stage hazards, and let people do stages that change over time or scroll. Just go all out with it. Once again, user-generated content has become a must-have feature within other platform fighters. We're not going to be able to make our own characters in Smash. The me is as close as we're going to get. But I see lots of opportunities to do cool stuff with stages. And of course, we gotta let people upload their creations in-game like in Ultimate. Good luck to all the people who get hired to moderate this feature though. It's gonna be so bad. Number 9, we need some kind of collectible, and honestly, it's trophies, bro. I don't care if there aren't 700 of them like there was in Smash 3DS and Wii U. I just want there to be a decent amount of them. I think I speak for everybody when I say that we definitely miss them. Doing PNGs instead just ain't the same. And I would go the extra mile and make it so that they do some kind of animation. Maybe let people stop them mid-animation and pose them with other trophies. Maybe let people make movies out of them and then let people upload them in the in-game browser. I kind of want some kind of coin launcher minigame to get them again too. Of course though, I kind of want something new. I just don't want coin launcher to come back, and I think it'd be really fun if there's some kind of full-on pinball machine minigame this time. That just sounds fun. And then maybe, okay, you can select different machines with different characters in it, like, I don't know, I just think that's really fun. Pinball is like basically just lost art at this point. It'd be fun if Smash brought it back. Number 10. And finally, since I feel like a Smash game with a roster that is smaller than Ultimate's is gonna always feel like a downgrade, I think what needs to be done to counteract that is to make it a free-to-play game. I've always been vocal about it, even before something like Multiverses existed. Obviously it didn't work for Multiverses, but that doesn't mean it wouldn't work for Smash. Make it feel like a full game from the beginning, of course, then just add on a bunch of characters, assists, and skins for each character for years to come. You can do the usual live service shenanigans like limited time minigames or online game modes. Like, wouldn't it be cool if character-specific target smashes or board the platform challenges came back? I am suggesting them to be limited time things, I guess, but hey, you gotta keep the player's attention somehow. I would still take it. If there's anything that can compete with Fortnite in the free-to-play market, it's Smash for sure. I could just see just the bags of money that Nintendo executives would be swimming in just from the skin sales alone in this game, okay? With that being said, I wouldn't be surprised to see Fortnite Jonesy in Smash, and then everybody would just be swimming in money. Now, I'm not sure if a free-to-play model can be pulled off with all the other suggestions that I've made, but I'd like to see it happen. For how much Nintendo is charging for like everything of theirs nowadays, I think they could pull it off, okay? And of course, they can call the game Super Smash Bros. Free for All, because it's a free game for all. Again, I feel like I've put that out there before, but I'm just gonna say it again anyway. Alright, that is my list. I tried to be semi-realistic with what I wanted, so sorry if the list doesn't make your brain juices flow as much as you would have liked. There's probably more stuff I could think of adding if I thought hard enough. I think you can tell I didn't talk about things relating to gameplay that people had gripes with in Smash Ultimate, like the buffer system or input delay. I would hope that it's self-explanatory that I want the game feel to be the best it possibly can be, so stuff like that should not be in the game. I also didn't touch on something I'd definitely like to see, which is revamped veteran movesets, but I cover that with the moveset analysis series. Check them out. But instead of me thinking about more stuff to add, instead you can let me know what you want to see in the next Smash Brothers. That isn't a character, of course. Because we all know the #1 most requested character for Smash is Sans, okay? And Jumbo Josh is right behind him. Oh, they clicked off the video. Damn. If you're still here and you didn't sub in the beginning because you wanted to see the performance the monkey would put on first, then you better do it now. The monkey demands it. Thank you, channel members, StreamU, and EXO. And of course, support me on Coffee. I sell stickers on there now. It's pretty cool. Please give me money if you really enjoyed my performance, you know, like give me a tip. That'd be pretty cool. Ooh, ah, ah. Bye-bye.